Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of PBHS Ed Talks. Today's episode will focus on student wellbeing and how you can look after yourself during this time. I'm here with Mr. Petruno as usual, but today we're also joined by Mr. Cooper and Mr. Perez. So thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Perez, I'm going to throw the first question to you. What are some suggestions you might have for our students who may be struggling with sleep and overeating?
Yeah, definitely. Sleep is one of the most important things that students need to be focusing on at the moment. We know that sleep is sort of like food for the brain. So if you're not getting enough sleep, your body's not going to be recovering enough and it's not going to be recovering as efficiently as it should be. So it basically gives you a chance to recharge. It gives your mind a chance to recharge and process the information that you've learned on that day. So, if students are having some classes on that day, if they're not getting enough sleep, their mind is not actually processing that information as efficiently as it could be. It helps you think more clearly and it helps you make better decisions as well. And that can be linked in with what students are eating as well. So a lot of the time, if students are not getting enough sleep, which is around 9 to 10 hours in your teenage years, students are not actually metabolizing what they're eating as well as they can be. So what they'll actually do is their body will feel a little bit fatigued and they will tend to eat more sugary junk foods to get that burst of energy that their mind is saying that they need to have. It's not necessarily what their body is requiring at that stage, but with the lack of sleep that they're getting, it's actually affecting them in a negative way. And I've talked to some of the boys in Year 9 about this recently, and I've given them the benefits of getting more sleep, and we've talked about how it can actually improve your memory and it can give you a sharper attention span as well. And while they're working from home at the moment, it's really important that students are focusing on getting enough sleep, because if they're waking up a little bit fatigued, a little bit drowsy, they're not actually going to switch on and have that sharp attention span that's required from home. And I know when they're at school, they can sort of be forced into it a little bit more because they're forced to sort of go to each period and pay attention. But while they're at home, it's only themselves that they have to make the decision for themselves. It can also affect their mood, and a few of the boys have told me that they tend to be, a little bit more upset or can get angry a lot easier, and that can be caused from the lack of sleep as well. And I've also given them some tips on how to get more sleep. So, putting your devices away a lot earlier, so about 30 minutes to an hour before you go to sleep. I recommend putting them in another room once you're done with them, so not lying on your phone with the screen right in front of your face. That's a really important one. And also just getting a lot of exercise. I know, a lot of our boys can only do about an hour a day at the moment with the restrictions that are in place. But if they can actually do, an hour of exercise a day, their body will actually need that sleep to recover. So they'll almost be, forced into, getting to bed a little bit earlier. And I think having a regular routine is really important. So a lot of our boys are sleeping at random hours throughout the night. So they might be going to bed at 10 o'clock one day and 1 a.m. another day. I think having a schedule where they wake up, they eat breakfast at a regular hour, they have their Zoom lessons at a regular hour, they have their recreational time, their dinner, and then getting to bed at the same time each day is a really important one. So focusing on things like that, and just making sure that they avoid napping during the day as well. If they're napping during the day, it can definitely throw off that routine. So making sure that they're almost doing the same sort of thing each day will benefit them in a really positive way.
That's right. Thank you so much for your suggestions. So I know that a lot of our boys are staying up late at night to game as well. So Mr. Petruno, do you have any suggestions that you might have for our students to minimize their gaming during this lockdown?
Yes, Ms. Ewan, look, in speaking to parents over the past couple of weeks, the biggest issues they've been saying that they've been struggling with is, as Mr. Perez just talked about then, is sleep patterns. And the second issue that they've been talking to me about is gaming. And look, we know gaming on a global scale is becoming an issue for young people. And one of the things that we say at Punch Bowl Boys is that we control the game doesn't control us. And I think the boys really need to remember that, as well as the parents and caregivers, because those games are designed to promote addiction and promote engagement. And boys feel the need due to the chemicals that are released through their body and their brain in particular. When they win a game or they beat a stage, the chemicals that are released, the endorphins, make them feel really good about themselves, and they sort of want to get that constant reminder or that constant feeling that they're achieving something. So they really need to be aware of that and try and find the balance. The best strategy is, as I said, the parents need to sit down with their child and speak to them around a timetable around gaming and find the balance. Some parents might, come to an agreement or with students saying, listen, for every, half an hour you do of learning or reading or a bit of additional maths or just, reading a magazine that they might, about a topic that they're interested in, they may get 10 minutes of gaming. Or they might do the 1-for-1, so they might say, if, you do, so many hours during the week, then we'll replicate that time over the weekend. It's really up to the parents and the students to work out what's fair and what's good for the kid. But my recommendation is for every hour that the kid is engaged in some type of academic pursuit, as I said, the online learning, reading, doing some maths, maybe creating a model or doing some painting or drawing, doing some work around the house, that they get 10 minutes of gaming. So, for example, if they do 3 hours during the day, they get half an hour. And even because, I know it's a difficult time and people are in lockdown at the moment, if they do 3 or 4 hours of being engaged in other activities, then they can do an hour of gaming. It's just that when there's that uneven balance of like gaming, for numerous hours during the day, or kids staying up late and gaming all night with their friends and then waking up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when we have the problem. So, my advice is have a really strong conversation with your child. Set the boundaries. Setting the boundaries is really critical, and making sure you talk about that balance. And as I said, an hour of proactive, strong social activity where kids look at, building some skills that they're weak in. So, for example, they want to do a little bit more reading or maths, etc. They can work on that. And then, as I said, they get that 10-minute reward, which they can bank and build up at the end of the day.
Thank you for that. That sounds like a really helpful suggestion for our parents at home. Mr. Cooper, so Are You OK Day is coming up. Can you please give us an overview of what will be happening on that day?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Ms. Newen. So, look, as a school, we are always looking ways to promote the well-being of our students and our staff, and as well as our community. So the next Thursday, September the 9th, is Are You OK Day. It's a national day where we're encouraged to stop and ask that really important question of a friend, of a family member, of a work colleague, and say, are you okay? So in this time of remote learning, what we've decided to do as a school is to put a pause on the online learning for that day. So there won't be Zoom lessons for Thursday of September 9. Instead, there's going to be a whole range of activities available on the website that you can look up prior, that you can do in your house to build your well-being on that day. There's activities like some cooking, some puzzles, some suggestions for reading, practical activities, drawing, sport activities that students can do, with their family, with their siblings, to have a bit of a break from the screens and do something for their well-being. The other thing we're asking students to do is to also ask that question of someone in their family, maybe a friend over a phone call. You say, look, at the moment with what's happening in Sydney, are you okay? and ask that question, listen to their response. And again, we've got some really great resources on the website in the Wellbeing Hub for families, students to turn to if they need that extra support at the moment with what is happening in Sydney. So we look forward to students sharing with their year advisors on the Wellbeing page, images of the things they do next Thursday to work on their well-being. And we look forward to having that break as a staff, as a school community, to make sure that everyone is doing as okay as they can under these current circumstances.
So thank you everyone for your wonderful suggestions and for being here today. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of PBHS Ed Talks. Just to recap, Mr. Perez said it's important for students to establish a productive routine every day. Mr. Petruno said for parents to come to an agreement with their students to set up some boundaries around gaming. And please stay updated with our website for more information on Are You OK Day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Ewan. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Thanks, Mr. Petruno.
Bye.
Boys with the good